Hello, and welcome to my presentation on Schumann's song cycle Frauenliebe und Leben. The title of this translates to Woman's Love and Life. Written in 1840, a year which is often referred to as his Liederjahr, his year of song, Schumann composed this alongside two other complete song cycles, Dichterliebe and Liederkreis. The structure of Frauenliebe und Leben is an 8-poem song cycle written for soprano solo and piano accompaniment. The chronological order tells us of the protagonist's first love encounter through to the death of her beloved, which is reflected strongly in song number 8, that is filled with, as you can imagine, sincere feelings of deep grief and pain. I, however, will be focusing my analysis on song number 6, Süßer Freund, du blickest mich verwundert an, translating as, Sweet friend, you look at me in wonder. Schumann's other Lieder cycle output, Dichterliebe, translates as a poet's love. Here, we notice the theme of love be recurrent in Schumann's writing for song cycle in 1840. Schumann uncovered the Lied as a major genre in the 19th century, writing a total of 600 Lieder throughout his lifetime. Today I would like to focus on these three main points: Schumann's distinctive style, the close relationship between the music and the lyrics, and the intense desire for true love that is captured in Song 6 through the typical style of Schumann. He engages with the listener, us, the audience, through his intuitive use of the compositional elements throughout the song cycle. Schumann's style is deeply reflected in song number 6, as seen through the analysis of these specific musical elements. Harmonic complexities between the soprano and piano lines, through the use of suspensions, in turn create a delayed resolution in the piano accompaniment. Such technique can be seen halfway through Song 6, where we notice a modulation back into our tonal key of D major, which is established first in the vocal line and a bar later in the piano line. This is a clever interplay that Schumann utilizes between the two to create an interesting character. The meter throughout song number 6 is a slow, regular pulse that we can describe as heartbeat-like. Here, Schumann uses the personification device of music. It is through this that we can see his use of strictly precise rhythms, such as frequent use of dotted quaver followed by semiquaver, to maintain a constant steady pulse throughout, and creating an ongoing urge throughout the song cycle to tell us of the events that will occur next. In comparison, song number 3 uses a wide range of rubato, which is a fluctuation in tempo. Through this, Schumann uses a sense of urgency and desperation to evoke the protagonist's immediate desire for love. This also foreshadows our protagonist's later inability to cope towards the end of the song cycle, where we notice that she has gone into a state of despair. The poet whose poetry Schumann chose for the lyrics of Frauenliebe und Leben is that of Chamisso's writing. This song cycle is entirely intertwined with its poetic lyrics. The close link between the composer and the protagonist show that Schumann's composed collection of German Lieder for the poetic lyrics of a stereotypical middle-class woman in the 1830s, as set by Chamisso, is almost reflective of the storyline in his life at the time of writing. This is due to Schumann's due to be wed to Clara Wieck, who at the time was married to another man, and here we notice that the protagonist's story of finding her true love is very similar to the life events of Schumann at the time of writing this song cycle in the 1840s. The only difference to highlight, however, is the element of class divide between our protagonist woman and Schumann's future wife, who was not a middle-class woman. However, Despite this, the situation that Schumann finds himself in is still very closely related to the song cycle itself. The author Hermiso was a famous French-born German poet and naturalist. However, he was not as prolific a composer or poet as others of his time, and so Schumann was the only major composer to have set his writing into music. Schumann's sensitivity to poetry meant that there was a visible use of creativity in the writing of the piano accompaniment line, due to he himself being an aspiring poet, aside from being a composer. This creative use of writing for the piano in each song very much would propel the storyline onward, as you will hear. This also allows for the music and the lyrics to be intertwined, thus establishing a strong connection between the feelings that our protagonist sings about and the musical shifts that we hear in the tonality, among various other elements. Schumann's word setting is onomatopoeic at times, such as on the word flüstern, meaning to whisper. However, here, Schumann chooses to use it on the climax of the phrase, and also set it to the highest vocal range that we hear so far in song number 6. This ironic use of language is one most favoured trait for any romantic composer, especially for Schumann, for who it was a frequent feature in his Lieder. A true portrayal of emotion through composition is therefore captured through the natural state of an intense desire for true love in Frauenliebe und Leben. Schumann's song cycle captures an intense desire for true love through a sense of intimacy that is seen between the protagonist and her lover, particularly brought out in the 6th song, Süßer Freund. This song is the culmination of the song cycle, and it is most typical of Schumann's style. This is because we hear the score getting this luxurious harmonic progression towards the end of song number 6, and throughout the song cycle, in between vocal phrasing. The effect of this is to give an equal opportunity for both the vocalist and the instrumentalist to portray their musical abilities. Emotive sense of intense desire also belongs to song number 6. This happens through the word setting of Geliebte, through the technique of repetition. Schumann repeats the word Geliebte, meaning beloved, in an attempt to desperately engage the listener about what our protagonist has found, true love. Towards the end of the piece, make sure that you listen out for an elaborate set of chords which highlight one of these key decorative elements that Schumann's romantic piano writing houses. This will be heard at the end of song number 6, prior to the singer's final sigh-like phrase, which reminds us once again of her expectancy for destined love. Schumann is very much connected to the specifics of both the initial raw material, Hermiso's poetry and his own style, and the creative output, which is a combination of the two in correlation with his life events at the time, in order to create this successful song cycle that is typical of his romantic German Lieder style. Schumann's poetic ambitions allowed him to draw deeply connected inspiration from Hermiso's poetry and in turn apply it to his composition in ways which echo an intertwined involvement from both the poet and the composer. It is through his signature style, attention to musical detail through poetic interest, and his personal connection to the chronological storyline of our protagonist due to life events at the time of his own, that we can understand the distinct genre he established for German Lieder in the 1840s. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation, and I hope that you can now enjoy a beautiful performance of Schumann's song cycle Frauenliebe und Leben.